shit hot. Oh, I'ma light the shit up. Yeah, I'ma make the shit hot. Oh, I'ma light the shit up.
Hey guys, and welcome to a new Whatif. And I actually really want to make this one. This is what if Deku had a solo leveling quirk. For those who don't know what solo leveling is, it's this thing where there's hunters in a world, and there's hunters from E rank, and it goes to S rank. Sung Jin-woo, the main character, and that is an E rank. But something happens in a dungeon and he unlocks a secret thing. This is what I call the solo leveling. It's like a menu and he can become infinitely strong. And he quickly goes from E rank to one of the strongest S ranks in a few months with this system. So for those who don't know what it is, I really recommend you go reading it. This isn't sponsored, I just think you really enjoy it. And yeah, let's just jump straight into this. The way this works, everything was normal for Deku. Except for when he was 5. Bakugo awakened. This was just before the day before. No, not the day before. This was 3 weeks before, just under a month before Bakugo awakens his quirk in canon. Deku's mom suffers a stroke. It's nothing any murder from a villain. She suffers a stroke, and it ends up putting her in a coma. You see where I'm going? This puts her in a coma, and the doctors don't know when she'll wake up. So Mitsuki, with Bakugo and Deku and being childhood best friends, and Mitsuki and Inko being best friends, Mitsuki offers to adopt Izuku, and Izuku accepts it because of Bakugo. And when Bakugo finds out about this, he acts like he's annoyed, but he's actually really happy. But he feels sorry for Deku. Now we go to when Bakugo awakens his quirk. It's his explosions, but before the teacher can push into his head that he's going to be an amazing hero, blah blah, and it's the best, Bakugo noticed Deku's eyes are glowing blue, and he says, "What about Deku?" And Deku's eyes are glowing blue, and he's just sitting there shocked. And the teacher goes over to him and try to talk to him. And he's like, they're like, "Deku, what's wrong?" He's like, "I think I got my quirk." And it's like, "What?" It's like, "I see something." And he reaches out, and then his hand goes into a portal. The system gate. This is when his system activates. And he did all the activation stuff on his own. And he goes into his inventory, there's a sword there. It's a normal basic sword, like an old-fashioned sword. Same one Sung Jin-woo had in the dungeon, but it's not broken. And he pulls it out of the dimension. And everyone just starts, wow. And then there's also a shield, and he pulls that out. And everyone just starts applauding. And Bakugo and Deku just smile and go to the quirk doctor. Bakugo gets his usual one, and they expected Deku to quirk to be like summoning weapons or something, or a spatial dimension. But when they run the test, just like with the ranking machine in solo leveling, the numbers go haywire, and they soon discover that isn't his quirk. And they find out that his quirk is more like a system, like a gaming system. And Deku loves gaming. By the way, it's him and Bakugo's thing. So he understands fully how to do it straight away, and they explain it to him. He's like, "Yeah, cool." And then he's looking at the system. It says daily quests. Since he's a child, the system caters to him, and I'm saying instead of 100 push-ups, it's 20. But when he gets to a solid age where he can do them, they'll all amp up. And Bakugo goes with him. After he does all his daily quests, Deku gets a reward. Gets to choose his reward. And he chooses a status rebirth. It's like a heal. It heals him fully, restores his stamina, and all that. So with that, Deku looks at his stat points. He gets some stats, and he puts them all into strength at first. And he doesn't feel anything. So he tries to arm wrestle with Bakugo, and before they would be somewhat equal, Bakugo a bit stronger, but this time Deku's hand slams down on the desk, easily destroying Bakugo. And they soon realise how powerful Deku's quirk is. So Deku, of course, builds up points and starts investing them, and even gets some other rewards. And eventually, when you get one sec, let me actually look this up. What do you get? I forgot what you got. I haven't read Solo Leveling for a bit. I'm about to start a new season. What does he get when he levels up? Sorry guys, in Solo Leveling. Okay. Okay, that's it. That's fine. Cool. He gets a mystery gift, or he gets like a, or he can choose like status refresh on that. I forgot the other one. I'll look into it later. But one day Deku chooses a mystery gift. This is around at the age of 10, and he gets a key to a dungeon. Deku, I'd say right now, is about A rank strength, which is roughly not All Might strength, a bit like half of All Might, and he's A rank, and the key he gets is also A rank, so he goes into there, and he starts exploring around, and the only thing he has is his sword, but he starts insanely high. I'm saying his base strength is, remember, Deku's had this for years, Sung Jin-woo didn't, but Deku has a bunch of points saved up. Okay, I'm saying he has 2,000 strength. Actually, no, that wouldn't add. Oh, I'm saying he has 75 strength, 200 speed, and the rest of his stats are 60. But Deku has roughly around 2 million points saved. And he made a deal that he'd use them points when the 10 months before UA. And Baku and him are really excited to see how strong he gets. Anyway, he goes into that dungeon and he still only has that sword, so he's swinging that around. He starts easily defeating monsters, but they start to get harder and harder. And therefore, Deku decides, you know what, I need some more strength. He amps his strength for 300. This easily pushes him past All Might. He didn't think it would be that strong. He slices his sword and actually a blade of wind comes out with it and starts hitting other monsters. Deku then amps his speed up to 300 as well, and he starts speeding through the dungeon till he gets to the final boss. It's a similar boss into Sun Jin-woo's first dungeon, like in the actual manga, where it's the snake boss. But this time it's a lot stronger. It's more dragony. He kills it the same way though, and he ends up getting the first blade he gets, and also the second blade that he buys from the shop. One of the abilities of the first blade, it paralyzes them and makes them bleed uncontrollably and Deku can control this to the point where they could literally bleed out from a paper cut. And the other one is just extremely strong, sharp, and also boosts Deku's strength and speed when he does it. He also gets a stone from it, Dominate his hand, and also I'm really bad, sorry guys. He gets Dominate his hand, and he also gets the power of Ruler. Wait, I'm so stupid. He gets 2 stones. One of them is called Dominate his touch. Another one is called Bloodlust. And then when this happened, Deku's skill bar actually opens up. It's been locked, unlike it was for Sun Jin-woo. He breaks the stones and he gets some stills. Then he sees his other skills. One of them is called Knife Throw, another one's called Mutilate, another is Sprint. Sees where he falls different. And that's because with his skills unlocked, the final ability a really strong ability just activated, Longevity. This is a permanent effect, and all diseases, poison and status effects are healed. Now he can't get poison, he never gets sick. And sleeping causes his insane superhuman regeneration to activate. Anyway, when this happens, Deku goes home and shows off his weapons to Mitsuki and she goes, what? You can't have knives. And Deku just teleports him in a portal and says, well, into his inventory and says, well, if you can get him, you can have him. Deku from that dungeon got quite a bit, and he also got a sack. The same one as we see in the anime, and it not the anime, in the manga. And he actually sees a description, and it's some sort of powder, and the description says 100% hardens the skin to the point where nearly invulnerable to damage. And you're wondering, there's normally only 20%. This is because, remember, this was a higher level dungeon. And Deku's reading the downside, and it also says, blah blah, reduces movement speed and strength by 50% permanently. But then he thinks all the downsides would be negated by his other ability, longevity, that makes him never get like downsides. So he takes it. And then he feels a lot harder, and he tells Bakugo to launch an explosion at him, which Bakugo does as he trusts Deku. But Mitsuki's a bit wary of it, so he has a med kit on deck. But the explosion literally does nothing to Deku. He just tanks it. And everyone's just impressed. And Deku says, oh yeah, I kind of had to use some of my stat points. They were like, oh wow, what's your new stat? They all knew it was 75. Deku whispers, 300. And he says, that's the same for my speed. They're like, what? And then they test Deku's strength. They take him out. This is Prime All Might, by the way, not just the show All Might. They take him out and he punches a mountain. He completely shatters it, and they're all just like shocked. And then he manages to like sprint really fast, and it takes him 2 minutes to run around the entire Japan. They decide to keep this under wraps, and Bakugo's just amazed, and he starts training with Deku more. And for the first time, Deku doesn't complete his daily task, and he's with his family when it happens. He gets sucked into a portal, and he has to survive. This is way easier for Deku, and he actually likes this, as he gains a lot of XP. And I'm saying Deku's level, let's just say for plot, his level is going to be 35,000. A lot higher than canon, not a lot higher than we've got right now in the solo level as well, I know. And he's easily destroying them, and he comes back. They're all shocked, and he's like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, if I don't use my certain ability, if I don't do my daily tasks, then I get transported to another like dimension. I have to fight monsters. And like, oh, okay. Deku just, and now we have a huge time skip to the last day of school, of like middle school, and Bakugo and Deku are walking home. They take the long way this time, not that alleyway path. So the sludge villain doesn't have anyone to attack, and he ends up in the middle of the city, running away from All Might. He grabs onto Deku, but Deku like manages to like just repel him with a slap, like a really soft one. It blows him back. So then you think, no, that kid's too powerful. I need to go for the other one, the blonde-headed kid. And he manages to grab Bakugo, which actually really annoys Deku. And just like what happens to Sung Jin Woo when he gets annoyed, his eyes start glowing blue. Bakugo's only seen this look a few times before. The first time is when he broke Deku's All Might figure, and Bakugo ended up with hospital with a few broken bones. And the other time is when a kid in school tried making fun of Deku's mom. That kid is still in hospital. He's been in hospital for 2 years. Deku nearly killed him. And therefore, Deku, he knows that Deku's going to save him, so he just relaxes. But due to the training, his explosion is stronger, so he manages to fend it off a bit, to the point where he doesn't feel like he's dying, and he can actually breathe a bit. The other heroes are impressed at Bakugo's quirk, and Deku just walks past. They tell him to stop, but Deku uses his Dominator's hand to push him down to the ground, and carries on walking. He tells the slime villain his only chance to let his brother go, or there'll be consequences. He doesn't listen. Deku pulls out his dagger and dashes. He slashes the slime villain, even though it's not a human body, it works. He paralyzes him, but he can't make him bleed. And he ends up dropping Bakugo and is paralyzed. But Deku releases the effect and says, nope, I'm going to show you how you actually fight. Deku builds up a punch, and as the slime villain dashes at him, All Might lands, like next to Deku, and he tries to save him till he realizes that he's not going to make it in time without hurting Deku. But then Deku lets out the powerful punch, stronger, I'll say 3 times stronger than the one All Might let out against the slime villain in canon. This makes a huge change in the weather to the point it's just like nearly stormy, and everyone is just shocked at this kid's power, especially All Might. He's thinking, that kid might be my successor. So he pulls Deku aside after it all happened, and he's used the excuse to see if they was okay. He explains his quirk to both of them, and Deku reads it and says, interesting. Of course, like the system gives the hero item box item. 1 for all ability. Enhances strength multiple times over and other abilities. Gives 1,000-time boost to other abilities when activated. And Deku reads it like, wow, that's strong, and he instantly accepts. And then he reads the downside of it, and it says, when given away, this ability slowly fades when passed on, and it has the ability to be passed on. But Deku negates that effect using the item he used earlier from the A rank dungeon. And he ends up passing it along to Bakugo as well, meaning they both get 1 for all, and All Might's just impressed. He calls this the dream duo. So they all start training. Deku's body can instantly handle 100%, shocking All Might, until he sees how... And Deku in this one, I'd say, is 6'5", and he's actually shredded. He has an 8-pack and everything. And I'm just saying, why not? Bakugo's 6'1", and he's also like... He's not shredded, but he's starting to build up. And with the help of Deku's training and more of that, Bakugo manages to be able to use 50% no problem. Then we go to the UA exam. Deku goes in. Mainly using Dominator Touch, he's granted up 200 points. And then he says, I might as well activate it. Through the system, he activates 1 for and he can scale it. He activates it at 20%. And it gives him all like the buffs he's got on the side. At 20%, his stats are times 200. And he's like, that's good enough. Remember, 3 times Prime All Might times 200. That's what that does. And Deku goes around like in a flash and just starts obliterating robots. And then the 0 point robot arrives, and Deku wants to test Senk out, and he yells to everyone he'll beat the robot with a blink. He goes to 100% of 1 for all, and it blows everyone back a bit, and he channels it all into like his eyelids, and he blinks, sending a huge shockwave, tearing the robot apart and sending it back flying. Everyone's just shocked. And then Deku goes home. Like, he gets first, of course. All Might congratulates him, and he goes home with Bakugo waiting for their letter. If you're wondering, Deku, due to like his overwhelming power, ends up getting roughly 2,000 points, and Bakugo, using 1 for all, managed to catch up to him to like 1,000. And when Deku goes home, he sees a title pop up when he's laying there. It's titled Job Change Quest. So of course Deku does it, and it goes the same in canon. He gets like max everything, he completes it easily. And the job he gets is called Necromancer. But due to like the buff, it gets like amped up to like Shadow Lord, that's why it was called. And it's the same ability as everything. And due to this, Deku gets the abilities where he can create a shadow, and he fights Igris, and he makes Igris his first shadow. And he doesn't even need, he's that powerful, he doesn't need to give a speech. So then Deku wakes up the next day, he slept through it, and he checks to make sure that weren't just a dream. He sees his title, his job, and it's called Shadow Lord. And he's like, yes, I guess that wasn't a thing. And he summons Igris. He also got some of the mages that were there as well. And the knights. He summons Igris and says, you're actually pretty powerful. I'm saying Igris is how Deku was 3 times as strong as All Might with that, as Prime All Might. And he's like, you'll actually be useful. And Igris bows. Then Deku goes outside to see Mitsuki glowing eyes. She has Bakugo and Deku's acceptance letters. And when it comes out, it pops up with All Might. And it tells them congratulations, blah blah, and how due to All Might they got the nickname the Dream Duo. And Mitsuki just starts getting really proud that All Might gave him the nickname the Dream Duo. And she also saw footage of like the entrance exam, and she saw how powerful her boys became. Anyway, Deku actually has a few dungeon keys, and he actually ends up with a SSS rank dungeon key. And he hops into it. It's the same as Sung Jin Woo, the demon world. The one where he ends up getting his like lightning sword and dragon. He goes in and starts blasting through that using 100% of 1 for all. And he even ends up like befriending some of the demons, blah blah. He blasts through it and gets he gets some high level demons to be his I'm changing the plot. He can get high level demons only as his like to resurrect them, and they're insanely powerful. Igris is still stronger due to him leveling up, but they were stronger than Igris when Deku first got it, meaning he still was an army of people way stronger than All Might. And then it goes till he fights a demon, he kills it easily, gets his like special lightning sword, which Deku actually really likes, and he summons his dragon. Now we go to Deku's first day of UA. He decided to flex a bit, and him and Bakugo rode the dragon to school, which shocked Bakugo, thinking, when did he get this? And Deku explains how he got a new called the Shadow Monarch. And Bakugo's just impressed, and everyone sees the dragon flying and they're shocked. They think it's someone's quirk, which it technically is. They all land, and All Might's there, and like some teachers are there, and they're thinking that's not what his quirk was reported to be. And they hop off, and the dragon goes back into Deku's shadow. And everyone runs up to him like, "Whoa, blah blah blah, what's your quirk?" And he just shoots them away, and he gets to class 1A. He walks in. As soon as he walks in, everyone rushes over because they saw the dragon outside of like looking out the window. They're like, "Whoa, what's your quirk?" Blah blah blah. But Deku, with his extra sensory abilities, instantly senses Ozawa and says, "Our teacher's laying behind the desk. We might as well just sit down." And Ozawa perks up, thinking, "I was trying to conceal my presence. Impressive." And so there we go, he says. Since you actually pressed me, I'm gonna decide that we're doing our fitness test now. I was gonna give like an explanation. You don't need to do assembly, that's for weaklings. As I was gonna try to scare them, blah blah, and whoever comes last gets expelled. And because Deku got first and everything, he gets asked to go first. Azawa didn't know about the dragon yet. He was actually sleeping for that bit. But when he told Deku to throw the ball, he expected him to easily throw it out of the atmosphere. When Deku says, nah, he summons the dragon and gives it in his paw, and he tells the dragon to fly up, and like fly far, and he flies at insane speed. And Azawa says infinity, because I'm guessing that dragon can fly forever. And if you're wondering, Deku has basically infinite mana. Yeah, kind of forgot. Deku decided to hold off on his stats. He didn't do it after this first day of Bakugo. That's for next episode. He's putting all them points in, by the way. So Deku gets basically infinite for everything because his dragon's basically a cheat code, and then he breaks the scales, like the way strength. Like the grip strength. He breaks all of them. The shy jumps. He basically destroys it. He does it more than anyone can count. And then for the race, Ida thinks he has a chance. On the count of 3, Deku flies past that clock before it can even hit 0.001, meaning he basically got a 0-second score. Shocking Ida, thinking, I can't even match him in speed. He truly is amazing. And that's the first episode, guys. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure you share with your family, friends. Blah, 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 blah. Help me on the road to 100k. The grind's back. Come on, let's go. Peace out, guys. Bye. Like, got 35 likes. Bye.